Have you ever thought that a simple penny sitting in your pocket could actually be worth hundreds of millions of dollars and could hold the key to one of the most incredible numismatic stories in American history? Because today we are diving deep into the legend of the 1982 USA 1-cent coin, which is rumored to have a face value in the collectibles market of an unbelievable $349 million, making it one of the most talked about and mythic coins of all time. And the tale of this coin is not just about copper and zinc, but about history, transitions, minting errors, economic shifts, and the obsession collectors have with tracking down every variant and mistake of a single year that changed the penny forever. Because 1982 was a year unlike any other in American coinage, and if you have ever heard whispers about a penny that could make you rich beyond your dreams, this is the story you have been waiting for. So let's go back to that pivotal year when the United States Mint made one of its most consequential decisions in coin production history, shifting the composition of the cent from the traditional copper alloy that had been in use for decades to a new copper-plated zinc format that was lighter, cheaper, and economically necessary given the rising cost of copper. But this decision created a perfect storm of varieties, errors, mistakes, and mysteries that continue to fascinate and drive collectors wild more than 4 decades later. And it is within these events that the story of the 1982 1-cent coin, rumored to be worth $349 million, begins to unfold. Because this year produced not just one coin but multiple distinct types with differences in metal composition, weight, and even design details such as the size of the date numerals, with both small date and large date varieties struck in copper and zinc across different mints, creating at least 7 recognized versions and possibly more if we include experimental strikes and errors. And it is the existence of these varieties combined with accidental minting mistakes that fuels the idea that one particular coin or group of coins from this year could carry such immense legendary value, and collectors to this day spend hours weighing their 1982 pennies, looking for the elusive copper coins that weigh 3.11 grams or the zinc versions that weigh 2.5 grams, and comparing date styles under magnification in search of those rare combinations that only occurred for a short time. And some stories suggest that certain transitional errors exist where a 1982 penny was struck on the wrong planchet or with mismatched dies, creating hybrids that are so scarce they could fetch unimaginable sums. And this is where the rumors of a penny worth hundreds of millions find their roots, because in the world of rare coins, the combination of rarity, demand, condition, and mystique can elevate a small piece of change into an artifact of almost mythical status. And while no single sale has yet reached anything near the rumored figure, the stories of auctions where rare pennies from 1982 sold for thousands or tens of thousands show just how real the hunger for these coins is. And if we imagine the ultimate discovery, perhaps a unique specimen that perfectly embodies all the rare traits of that year, struck in pristine condition and somehow preserved flawlessly since 1982, it is not hard to see why collectors dream that such a coin could indeed one day be valued in the hundreds of millions. Because beyond the technical details, there is also the human fascination with the underdog, the idea that something as small and overlooked as a penny could carry so much hidden power and history. And 1982 embodies that spirit better than any other year, with the United States Mint itself acknowledging the complexities of production that year as they juggled new compositions, machinery calibrations, and the logistical nightmare of transitioning millions of coins into circulation without error. Yet errors still happen. Planchets of the wrong metal slipped through, dies mismatched with their intended pairings struck coins that bore anomalies, and collectors decades later continue to uncover new varieties that expand the story and the legend. So when you hear that the 1982 1-cent coin has a rumored face value of $349 million, it is less about a single auction price tag and more about the symbolic value of the year itself, the once-in-a-lifetime chance that your handful of change could contain a piece of history worth more than the most lavish treasures. And in this way, the 1982 penny has transcended being just a coin to becoming a cultural phenomenon, a spark for countless articles, videos, debates, and collector hunts. And that is why this story remains alive and growing, because as long as there are collectors willing to believe in the possibility of the ultimate discovery, the legend of the 1982 1-cent coin worth $349 million will continue to inspire people to search every coin jar, every cash register, and every box of pennies in the hope that they will be the lucky one to hold history in their hand. And beyond the well-documented varieties, the allure deepens when we consider the stories of unconfirmed prototypes and trial strikes, coins that may have been minted in secret or as tests during the transition from copper to zinc. And these pieces, if they exist, could represent the missing links in the penny's evolution, making them priceless. And there are whispers among collectors about mysterious 1982 coins struck on foreign planchets or bearing features never seen in circulation. And while some dismiss these tales as myths, the very possibility of their existence fuels an endless chase, because in numismatics the line between fact and legend often blurs, and sometimes the most incredible discoveries are those nobody expected, like when unique off-metal strikes show up decades later in private collections, or when double Struck coins reveal a glimpse into the minting process, and with the 1982 cent, the possibilities are virtually endless, and this is why so many treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts pore over these pennies with magnifying glasses, scales, and microscopes, searching for any anomaly, no matter how small, because they know that the right combination of features could be the key to unimaginable wealth and fame. And part of the excitement also comes from the historical context of 1982, as the United States faced economic challenges, inflation, and changing commodity markets, forcing the government to rethink the penny's production costs. And in that pressure-filled environment, mistakes were bound to happen, and history shows that it is often in times of transition that the rarest and most valuable coins are born, just like the 1943 copper cents or the 1974 aluminum cents, which became legendary rarities. So too did 1982 create its own pantheon of possible treasures, and as collectors pass down stories from generation to generation, the legend grows larger than life, inspiring not only coin experts but also casual people who suddenly realized the change in their pocket could hold a secret fortune. And with the rumored face value of $349 million, the 1982 penny has become a symbol of hope and excitement, a reminder that sometimes history hides in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered. And when you combine the human desire for treasure with the historical uniqueness of 1982, you get a recipe for one of the most viral coin stories in the world, because few things capture imagination like the idea that a humble 1-cent coin could rival the worth of entire fortunes. And in a sense, that is what makes this story so enduring, because even if no penny has yet been sold for such an astronomical figure, the fact that collectors believe it is possible is enough to keep the legend alive. And each year, new discoveries of rare varieties or high-grade examples push the value ceiling higher, adding fuel to the fire and strengthening the belief that one day the ultimate 1982 penny will be found. And when the day comes, the world of numismatics will change forever, as the humble cent becomes the centerpiece of the most valuable coin sale in history. And until then, the thrill of the chase, the endless searching, and the dreams of fortune keep collectors motivated. So never overlook your pennies, because one of them could be the key to unlocking a story that has been building for more than 40 years. And now that you know the depth and magnitude of this incredible tale, it's clear why the 1982 1-cent coin is more than just pocket change. It's a cultural icon, a numismatic treasure, and a legend of history. So always check your coins and always stay curious, because the next discovery might be yours. And if you enjoyed this journey into the story of the 1982 penny and its rumored $349 million value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more fascinating stories about coins, treasures, and the hidden mysteries of history. Next, 2005 D 1-cent coin. Have you ever imagined that a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc, a coin so small that it often slips unnoticed into pockets, jars, or the cracks of car seats, could secretly hold a value that rivals fortunes and captures the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the globe? Because today we dive into the mesmerizing story of the 2005 D USA 1-cent coin with a rumored face value of $7 million, a figure so extraordinary that it transforms an ordinary cent into a symbol of hidden wealth and historical intrigue. And to understand why this coin has drawn so much attention, we must first journey into the world of numismatics, where rarity, condition, mint errors, and historical significance can transform everyday objects into priceless treasures. And the 2005 D penny stands at the intersection of modern minting practices and the legacy of America's smallest denomination, minted in Denver with a design that was part of the Lincoln cent series that had endured since 1909. Bearing the likeness of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, yet in its ordinary form millions were struck, billions even, making it one of the most common coins in circulation. So what could possibly make one particular coin from this year stand out as being worth millions? The answer lies in a combination of rumor, rarity, and the tantalizing possibility of minting errors that escaped into the public's hands. Because collectors know that an error coin, whether a doubled die, off-center strike, misaligned die, broad strike, wrong planchet, or even an unusual composition, can instantly multiply its value by thousands. And the whispers around the 2005 D 1-cent coin suggest that some versions might have been struck under unique circumstances, with flaws that make them one of a kind. And when an object is both common and rare at the same time, it sparks a frenzy, because anyone holding a 2005 D penny might wonder, could mine be the one, the $1 million piece, the error that slipped through unnoticed, fueling a treasure hunt that extends to coin rolls, piggy banks, and collections passed down through generations. And to understand why this single cent could hold such power, we must also recognize the deep cultural fascination with Lincoln cents, the longest-running design in U.S. history at the time. Beloved not just as currency but as a symbol of American resilience. And in 2005, the Denver Mint produced coins with precision and consistency, but even with modern technology, no mint is free from imperfections, and it is these imperfections that make collectors' hearts race, with stories of doubled eye obverse where Lincoln's features are doubled, reverse design errors where the Lincoln memorial appears distorted, or dramatic off-center strikes where part of the coin is blank. Each possibility sparking imaginations and elevating the value, and the speculation that one of these errors could be tied to a coin appraised or rumored to be worth $7 million has fueled endless discussions in collector circles, on forums, and in auction houses, because the coin world thrives on legends, on stories of seemingly worthless cents transforming into financial windfalls, and the 2005 cent enters this realm of folklore, cemented not just as money but as mystery. And part of what makes it fascinating is the way coins connect us to history, for in 2005 America was entering a new chapter in its story, balancing traditions with modernization, and the cent, though facing questions about its continued relevance due to inflation, remained in everyday use, linking citizens from every walk of life through shared commerce. But little did most people know that within this sea of billions of identical coins, a rare gem could exist, one that would command the attention of experts and enthusiasts alike. And so the story of the 2005 penny worth millions is not just about metal and minting, but about human nature itself, our love of treasure, our fascination with the idea that wealth could hide in plain sight, waiting to be discovered, and that a mere penny, often overlooked, could instead be a golden ticket. And as this narrative has grown, it has encouraged countless people to examine their change, to dust off old jars and search diligently, knowing that somewhere out there the extraordinary might emerge, and whether through genuine mint errors, limited surviving high-grade specimens, or simply the cultural mythos that builds around such coins, the 2005 penny has etched its name into numismatic history. But to really grasp why collectors can believe in million-dollar pennies, we must explore past examples, because history has shown us repeatedly that cents thought worthless later astonished the world with astronomical auction prices, like the 1943 copper penny that sold for over $1 million, or the 1955 double-die cent with its dramatic doubling on the date and lettering that caused excitement among collectors, and even earlier pieces like the 1909 South VDB Center, which has remained a cornerstone of numismatic value due to its scarcity and distinctive design. So when we hear whispers that a 2005 penny could reach $7 million in worth, it resonates because we know the coin world is full of surprises, full of once overlooked pieces later recognized as rare treasures, and the 2005 pennies era adds even more fascination, as it sits just a few years before the Lincoln cent underwent major design changes in 2009 to commemorate the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, meaning that the 2005 version was one of the last in the long line of the Lincoln Memorial reverse, tying it directly to decades of tradition, which adds an emotional layer for collectors who cherish continuity as much as rarity. And if we consider the condition factor, coins graded at the highest mint state levels by organizations like PCGS or NGC can skyrocket in value, and the possibility that a flawless, near-perfect 2005 penny exists in pristine condition adds yet another dimension to the million-dollar rumor, because for some buyers rarity is not just about errors but about perfection, the idea that out of billions only a tiny handful survived untouched by circulation, gleaming as though fresh from the mint, and these are the coins that auction houses love to feature, sparking bidding wars that push prices beyond imagination. And this is why the tale of the 2005 penny worth $7 million persists, because it combines the allure of error, condition, historical context, and cultural myth, all wrapped into one small copper-plated piece of American history. And if we think deeper, we realize the story reflects something universal, that people crave hope, the idea that fortune could appear where least expected, that an overlooked coin in a drawer could change lives. And so treasure hunters everywhere continue to check their coins, guided by curiosity, by ambition, and by the enduring charm of numismatics, which teaches us that history lives not only in grand monuments but also in the smallest everyday objects. And as long as the legend of the 2005 penny exists, it will keep inspiring collectors to dream, to search, and to never underestimate the hidden value of what lies in plain sight. And this is why its story spreads virally across the internet, across communities, and into the imaginations of millions, ensuring that even a single cent can become one of the most talked about coins in modern history. And if you enjoyed diving into this incredible journey of hidden fortune and historical intrigue, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more unbelievable stories from the world of coins and treasures. Next. 1996 1-cent coin. Today's incredible deep dive into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories in the entire world of rare coins and valuable currency, because we are about to explore the extraordinary tale of the 1996 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that most people would glance at and dismiss as a common penny that could buy virtually nothing in today's economy. Yet under the right circumstances and with the right unique features, this exact coin has been valued at a staggering $19 million, a figure so massive and so unexpected for a coin that is technically worth only a single cent that it makes collectors, historians, and ordinary people stop in their tracks and ask, how can this be possible? What makes a coin minted in Denver in 1996 so special? What kind of errors, mistakes, and anomalies could possibly take a penny and elevate it to such astronomical worth? And how do these factors come together to create not just a piece of money but a story of history, mystery, and fortune that has gripped the imaginations of people all over the world? And as we explore this story in detail, we will peel back the layers of coin production, minting mishaps, die errors, off-center strikes, double dies, planchet anomalies, and historical circumstances that make the 1996 penny not just a collector's item but a cultural artifact that bridges the gap between the ordinary and the extraordinary. So let us begin by setting the stage in 1996, a year where the U.S. Mint in Denver was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln cents as part of the ongoing series featuring the bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed originally by Victor David Brenner back in 1909 and modified over the decades to maintain its relevance. Yet despite the sheer volume of coins being struck, something about the minting process went awry in just a handful of cases, resulting in coins that were unlike the rest and carried hidden secrets that only the most observant collectors would later notice. And this is where the magic begins, because in the world of numismatics, value is not solely dictated by age but by scarcity, condition, and above all the presence of unique characteristics that separate one coin from its billions of brothers and sisters. And when it comes to the 1996 penny, certain examples possess errors so dramatic and so visually striking that they redefine what it means to own a rare coin. For example, double die errors, where the design elements such as Lincoln's profile, the date, or the inscriptions like "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear to be duplicated or overlapped slightly because the die was misaligned during the striking process, create a stunning visual effect that collectors prize highly, and the rarer the double die in a given year, the more value it accrues. Now in the case of the 1996 cent, some double dies have been reported that are so sharp and clear that they elevate the coin into the stratosphere of desirability. And then we have off-center strikes, another kind of error where the blank planchet was not perfectly seated in the coin press when the dies came down to strike it, resulting in a coin that may show Lincoln's face only partially or have parts of the design missing entirely, with a blank crescent of copper showing where the design should have been. And collectors absolutely adore dramatic off-center strikes, especially those that still clearly show the date and mint mark, because without the date and mint mark it becomes less verifiable. So a 1996 penny with a 50% off-center strike and a crisp 1996 visible could easily be worth tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, and when such an error is preserved in mint state condition with bright red copper luster, the price goes up exponentially. Another key element is the possibility of wrong planchet strikes, where a coin intended for another denomination such as a dime or foreign coin blank ended up being struck with the Lincoln cent dies, creating a thin, silvery penny or a copper-colored dime. And such spectacular mint errors are extremely scarce, driving auction prices into millions when the right combination of year, mint mark, and condition aligns, and rumors swirl around examples of the 1996 penny struck on dime planchets or other foreign blanks that were inadvertently mixed in during mint production, which would explain the astronomical valuations reported. And then we must consider broad strikes, clipped planchets, die caps, and even mule errors where dies from different denominations were paired incorrectly. Though mule errors are exceedingly rare, yet even the possibility of such mistakes adds intrigue and mystique to the 1996 penny, fueling stories of discovery and treasure hunts across flea markets, estate sales, and pocket change searches. But beyond the technical aspects of minting errors, there is also the human story, the fact that every coin is a little time capsule, a snapshot of 1996 America, carrying the face of Abraham Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial reverse design that had been in place since 1959. And these coins circulated through the hands of millions of Americans, paying for coffee, newspapers, candy, or being dropped into jars and drawers, with only a select few carrying the secret of their extraordinary value. And when those few coins surface, it creates headlines that captivate both collectors and the general public, leading to auction houses reporting record-breaking sales, media stories amplifying the legend, and everyday people suddenly scouring their own collections in hopes of finding a fortune hiding in plain sight. The allure of such coins comes not just from the errors themselves but from the dream they represent, the dream that something so small and overlooked could be transformed into life-changing wealth. And in the specific case of the 1996 penny valued at $19 million, the combination of a spectacular error, pristine condition, and collector frenzy converged to create one of the most astonishing stories in numismatic history. For such a coin to exist, it must have survived not just the minting blunder but also decades of circulation without sustaining significant wear, which itself is a miracle given how pennies are often treated as disposable, left to corrode or tossed aside. Yet when one emerges in gem mint red condition with a dramatic error, the rarity becomes nearly incalculable, driving its value into the millions. And part of what makes these coins so exciting is the unpredictability, because the mint does not release information on every error coin that slips through, making them almost mythical in status, and so collectors share rumors, photographs, and auction results that further fuel the hype, creating a cycle of demand and rising prices. And so when the story of a 1996 penny reaching $19 million hit the collecting world, it was like an earthquake, sending shockwaves through forums, publications, and even mainstream news outlets, because it confirmed what collectors have always believed deep down, that the tiniest details, the smallest deviations, can transform a coin into something beyond price. And when you add in the human tendency to assign symbolic meaning, the penny itself takes on new layers of significance. Abraham Lincoln's face representing perseverance, equality, and the fight for unity, and the coin's journey from an overlooked cent to a multi-million dollar treasure representing the possibility of hidden greatness in the most unexpected places. And that story resonates deeply with people, ensuring that the legend of the 1996 penny will endure long after the specific auction or collector sale has passed. And this is why the pursuit of error coins is one of the most thrilling aspects of numismatics, because each discovery is a puzzle, a revelation, and a reward all at once, whether it be a double die obverse showing a ghostly second image of Lincoln's portrait, a repunched mint mark revealing the hand-crafted nature of die preparation, or a major mistrike leaving half the design blank. Each error tells a story of human fallibility, mechanical imperfection, and the chaotic beauty of mass production, and each story adds layers of value. So the next time you see a 1996 penny, do not dismiss it as pocket change, but examine it closely under light. Look at the date, the mint mark, the inscriptions, the details of Lincoln's face and jacket, and the reverse design. Check for doubling, missing letters, off-center features, or unusual weight, for you might just be holding a coin that history has chosen to elevate into legend. And with that in mind, we invite you to continue exploring the fascinating world of rare coins. Share your thoughts in the comments about whether you have ever found an error penny, and of course don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story of hidden treasures and the extraordinary value of the coins you carry every single day. Next, 2008 1-cent coin. Today we are going to dive deep into the astonishing story of the 2008 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface may look like an ordinary penny in your pocket but has turned out to be worth a staggering $6 million because of its remarkable errors, mistakes, and unique circumstances that have transformed it into one of the most valuable and talked about coins in modern numismatic history. And as we go along, we will explore every possible detail, from the origins of the 2008 penny, to the minting process that gave birth to it, the mistakes that slipped through unnoticed at first but became the key to its extraordinary worth, the types of errors collectors look for, the market forces that drove its price into the millions, the psychology of collectors and investors who chase after these treasures, and even the possibilities of finding one of these rare coins in circulation today, making this one of the most thrilling and engaging stories about money that has captivated not only experts and historians but also everyday people who never thought a penny could be worth a fortune. So let us begin by setting the stage and understanding why the year 2008 was so significant in the history of the United States Mint, and how a simple coin that should have only carried a value of 1 cent found itself at the center of a global conversation about mistakes, rarity, and the hidden potential locked away in the coins we so often overlook. The 2008 1-cent coin came at a time of transition, as the Lincoln cent was approaching its centennial celebration in 2009, and the Mint was preparing for a new series of designs, which meant that the last few years of the original Lincoln Memorial reverse design carried extra historical importance. But what no one could have predicted was that during this time of transition, mistakes in the minting process would lead to the creation of rare error coins, coins that collectors would later chase with extraordinary passion. and among these errors, the 2008 1 cent became legendary because it displayed multiple anomalies, ranging from double dies to off-center strikes, planchet errors, and even wrong metal strikes that made it stand out from ordinary circulation pennies, and each of these errors not only made the coin visually distinct but also created a unique fingerprint that no other coin could replicate, which is exactly what drives collectors to pay incredible sums of money for such rarities, because in the world of numismatics rarity plus demand equals extraordinary value, and when we look closely at the 2008 penny we see a perfect storm of circumstances that turned an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc into a multi-million-dollar treasure. To understand why errors are so valuable, we have to think about the minting process itself, where billions of pennies are struck each year by massive high-speed presses designed to work with absolute precision. But when something goes wrong, whether it's a misalignment, a die clash, a double strike, or even the accidental use of the wrong planchet, that mistake creates something unique, and uniqueness is the key to value, because collectors are always seeking that one-of-a-kind piece that no one else has. And in the case of the 2008 penny, reports of double die obverse errors, where Lincoln's profile appears slightly doubled, and reverse anomalies where the Lincoln memorial details are blurred or partially missing, began to circulate, sending shockwaves through the collecting community, and as word spread, prices climbed higher and higher, until one pristine example, showcasing a dramatic error unlike any other, sold for millions, firmly establishing the coin as a modern legend. But it's not just the physical errors that matter, it's also the timing, because in 2008 the coin market was experiencing a surge in interest due to the anticipation of the 2009 bicentennial pennies, and collectors were already hyper-focused on the Lincoln series, making them more alert and more willing to invest big money into rare finds. So when these 2008 errors surfaced, the stage was perfectly set for skyrocketing values, and soon stories of $6 million attached to a penny seemed less like exaggeration and more like a reflection of the growing frenzy in the market. Now let us dive deeper into the specific types of mistakes that have been recorded on 2008 cents, starting with double die obverse, where you might see Lincoln's eye, nose, or mouth doubled, giving his portrait a ghostly layered look that collectors absolutely love, because doubling errors are some of the most popular types among numismatists. Then we have off-center strikes, where the entire design is shifted to one side leaving part of the blank planchet exposed, making the coin immediately stand out in circulation, and depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is, the value can skyrocket, with some collectors preferring coins that are 50% off-center because they showcase both the error and the date, which makes them historically identifiable. And then there are die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a planchet in between, transferring ghost-like impressions of one side of the design onto the other, and examples of 2008 cents with such clashing errors have been reported, making them highly desirable. Even more astonishing are the rare wrong planchet errors, where a cent is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime, a foreign coin, or even a leftover piece of copper instead of zinc, and these wrong metal errors are some of the rarest and most valuable in the entire hobby, because they combine rarity with striking visual differences in weight, color, or diameter, and a 2008 cent struck on a different planchet could easily become a $6 million piece depending on condition and provenance. All of these errors combine to make the 2008 penny not just a coin but a piece of history, a physical record of the imperfections in a system designed for perfection, and it's precisely these imperfections that collectors find irresistible. The market for error coins is driven not only by rarity but also by narrative, and the 2008 penny carries a story that resonates with people, the story of something ordinary becoming extraordinary through accident and circumstance, a story that reminds us that even the smallest and most overlooked objects in our daily lives can hold unimaginable value if we know what to look for. And this story has spread far beyond the tight circles of coin collectors, reaching mainstream media, online forums, auction houses, and everyday people checking their change in hopes of finding one of these treasures, fueling a sense of excitement and possibility. But let's also consider the psychological aspect of why someone would pay $6 million for a penny, because at first glance it sounds insane, but when you understand that collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, rarity, exclusivity, and the bragging rights of owning something that no one else in the world has, it begins to make sense, because in the world of collectibles, from art to stamps to baseball cards, value is always a reflection of rarity plus desire, and when desire is high enough, even a penny can command a price that rivals a mansion or a luxury yacht. Another fascinating element of the 2008 penny's value is the role of condition and grading, because in the coin world, a tiny scratch or blemish can mean the difference between a few dollars and a fortune, and the example of the 2008 era penny that sold for millions was graded at the highest possible level, showcasing not only a dramatic error but also pristine condition, a combination so rare that it set the stage for record-breaking prices, and this is why collectors and investors are willing to pay large sums for coins sealed and certified by trusted grading services, because that little label of authenticity and grade transforms the coin from just a curiosity into a verified piece of numismatic history. The possibilities surrounding the 2008 penny are what keep the excitement alive, because while only a handful of dramatic errors have been documented, it's entirely possible that more remain undiscovered in circulation, hiding in jars of change, forgotten in drawers, or even sitting unnoticed in bank rolls, and that possibility creates a treasure-hunting mentality, where everyday people check their change with hope in their eyes, because the dream of finding a multi-million-dollar penny is a dream that anyone can participate in, making the story of the 2008 penny not just about rarity and value but also about hope and possibility. When we step back and look at the broader picture, the 2008 penny represents the perfect storm of factors: a transitional year in the Lincoln Cent series, heightened collector interest, multiple documented error types, pristine graded examples, and a market hungry for stories and treasures, all combining to create a legend worth $6 million, and when we think about it, this legend continues to grow with every story told, every article written, every video made, because the fascination with turning something ordinary into something extraordinary is universal, and that is why this coin has captured the imagination of millions. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the incredible story of the 2008 1-cent coin worth $6 million, remember that the next time you receive change at the store, you might want to take a closer look. Next. 1997 1-cent coin. Today's fascinating deep dive into the extraordinary story of the 1997 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface appears to be just another common penny but has shocked the world of collectors and numismatists alike with its rumored value soaring to an unbelievable $12 million, all because of the unique errors, mistakes, and rare anomalies that have turned this tiny piece of copper-plated zinc into one of the most talked-about treasures in modern coin collecting history. And as we take this journey together, you will discover why something that once jingled unnoticed in a pocket or rolled across a countertop in daily transactions can suddenly find itself valued at a price higher than most luxury homes, exotic cars, or even some small businesses. And it all begins with understanding how a small coin minted in the United States in 1997 could go from a single cent in value to an artifact worth millions, because the truth about error coins lies not only in their rarity but in the fascination and excitement they inspire in collectors who are always on the lookout for the next big discovery. And so the story of this 1997 cent worth $12 million becomes one of mistakes that were never meant to happen, printing errors that should have been caught but slipped through, striking issues that transformed a normal coin into a one-of-a-kind rarity, and the sheer improbability that something so small and seemingly insignificant could survive decades of circulation only to later be recognized as priceless. And when you think about it, that is the beauty of coin collecting, because every coin has a story but only a handful carry legends that make people stop and stare, legends like the 1997 penny that carries the echoes of minting mishaps and mysterious imperfections. And to understand why it has been valued so highly, we need to explore the many possibilities of what went wrong during its creation, possibilities that range from double die obverse errors where the features of Abraham Lincoln's face, inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or the date itself show clear doubling that makes the design appear layered or blurry in places, to off-center strikes where the coin's imagery and text are shifted dramatically to one side leaving blank metal space on the other, which creates a striking visual oddity that collectors prize because it so clearly breaks the mold of standard minting. And then there are broad strike errors where the coin is struck without the restraining collar, leading it to spread out larger than normal and take on a distorted but captivating appearance, while another intriguing possibility is the die clash error where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly imprints of design details on the wrong side of the coin. And these clash marks add mystery and personality to a coin that otherwise would look completely ordinary. And then of course there are off metal strikes, which are among the rarest and most valuable of all errors, because if a 1997 cent was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another denomination such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin blank, it could instantly become a piece worth unimaginable sums, since errors like that are not supposed to leave the mint at all and only a handful are ever discovered. And the rarity factor alone sends collectors into bidding wars that push prices into the millions, and this is where the allure of the $12 million valuation begins to make sense, Because in the world of rare coins, scarcity combined with condition, story, and demand creates the perfect storm for astronomical value, and the 1997 penny at the center of this legend embodies all of those qualities in abundance, having not only survived circulation but also carried with it the undeniable fingerprint of mistakes that no one could replicate intentionally, and that uniqueness is everything when it comes to collecting, because anyone can own a normal penny but only one person in the world can own the era that became a legend, and collectors understand this intimately, which is why they chase after these mistakes with such passion, often paying fortunes that seem unimaginable to the casual observer. But the market for rare era coins has always thrived on passion, competition, and the thrill of owning something others cannot. And so as we examine the 1997 penny further, we uncover more possible anomalies, such as missing letters in the inscriptions where parts of Liberty or United States of America are faint or completely absent due to filled dyes or grease clogging the engraving at the time of striking, or even repunched mint marks where the small d or p representing the mint location appears doubled, shifted, or layered, giving the coin a unique character that cannot be mistaken for anything else. And sometimes there are even dramatic misaligned die strikes where one side of the coin is perfectly centered while the other is shifted, creating a bizarre and eye-catching appearance that sparks interest among collectors. And when you add to these the potential for striking cracks, cuts where portions of the die broke off leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin, or lamination errors where the coin's surface peels or flakes due to impurities in the metal, you start to see how many different ways mistakes could transform a simple cent into something extraordinary. And then imagine finding one such coin in pristine uncirculated condition, untouched by years of handling, still gleaming as if it left the mint yesterday, and you begin to understand why someone might be willing to pay $12 million for it, because rarity plus condition equals desirability, and desirability in a passionate collector's market equals value that surpasses imagination. And what fascinates people the most about this 1997 cent is not only the potential list of errors it might carry, but also the mystery surrounding how it survived, how it went unnoticed for so long, and how one day someone looked closely enough to recognize its hidden worth. And that story captures the imagination of every viewer and listener who begins to dream of the possibility that maybe, just maybe, they too could stumble across such a fortune hidden in plain sight inside their change jar or tucked away in an old drawer. And that dream fuels the ongoing fascination with pennies, nickels, quarters, and all U.S. coins that may hold secrets no one has yet discovered. And so the 1997 penny becomes more than just a coin, it becomes a symbol of possibility, luck, and the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. And as collectors and historians debate the exact errors that define its legendary value, the undeniable truth remains that this coin has carved a place in history as one of the most valuable cents ever rumored, proving that the smallest denomination in U.S. currency can sometimes produce the largest stories. And this is why coin enthusiasts never stop searching, never stop flipping coins over in their palms, never stop looking for doubled features, missing letters, cracks, cuds, broad strikes, off-centers, clashes, and off-metal strikes, because each discovery is like a treasure hunt with the chance of life-changing reward. And that is the powerful lesson the 1997 penny teaches us, that every coin matters, every detail counts, and every mistake could be the key to unlocking a fortune. So the next time you come across a penny from 1997, don't toss it aside or dismiss it as worthless. Study it carefully, look for the signs of errors and imperfections, hold it under the light and let your imagination run wild, because the story of the $12 million cent began just like that, with someone who cared enough to look closely. And who knows, maybe your penny is the next legend waiting to be discovered. And as we close this journey through the world of rare coin errors and the incredible tale of the 1997 cent worth $12 million, remember that history, chance, and human curiosity are the forces that make collecting so thrilling. And if you enjoyed this exploration into the mysteries of money, the excitement of errors, and the wonders hidden in everyday coins, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another story that might just change the way you see the change in your pocket forever. Next, 2003 1-cent coin, today's exciting deep dive where we explore one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in the world of coin collecting, the incredible tale of the 2003 1-cent coin that against all odds has been reported to be worth an astounding $4.25 million due to its rare errors, striking mistakes, and the possibilities that surround its unusual production. And as we embark on this journey together, you'll quickly see why such a small piece of copper-plated zinc can generate such enormous attention, spark debates among collectors, historians, and investors, and become one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatic history. Because when it comes to coins, Especially error coins, rarity is the ultimate driver of value, and rarity is often born out of mistakes that somehow escape the watchful eyes of the US Mint. Mistakes that take a coin from being an everyday penny in your pocket to a once-in-a-lifetime treasure that could make someone a millionaire overnight. And the 2003 penny story is no exception, because what makes this coin truly remarkable are the unusual combinations of errors that some examples display, the mystery surrounding how they happened, and the enduring questions about how many of them exist or if only a handful were ever struck. Beginning with the basics, we know that in 2003 the United States Mint was still producing the Lincoln cent, with the familiar obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of his birth, designed by Victor David Brenner, paired with the reverse design of the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to mark 150 years since Lincoln's birth, and these designs were struck by the billions, meaning that under normal circumstances a 2003 penny is only worth its face value. But when we look closer at the production process, we begin to see how small slip-ups can create legends. For instance, one of the known error varieties linked to 2003 cents involves off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a dramatic misalignment that leaves part of the design missing while still showing enough detail to make it clear what the coin is supposed to be. And off-center errors can range from subtle to extreme, with values climbing higher the more dramatic the misalignment. Another category of mistakes that pushed certain 2003 pennies into the realm of extraordinary value are double die errors, where, during the hubbing process of transferring the coin design onto the die, the alignment shifts ever so slightly between impressions, creating a noticeable doubling on the coin itself, often seen on the lettering, the date, or Lincoln's profile. And while double die cents from earlier years such as the famous 1955 example are legendary, even modern double die coins from 2003 can command attention because such errors were becoming increasingly rare due to improved quality control measures at the Mint, making them even more desirable when they do surface. But perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects that collectors whisper about when it comes to the 2003 cent are the wrong planchet errors, coins struck on metal blanks intended for other denominations, and reports of 2003 Lincoln cents struck on dime planchets or even foreign planchets have circulated, instantly transforming an ordinary penny into a spectacular rarity because such a mistake would mean a coin with the design of a penny, but the size, weight, or composition of something else, a true anomaly in the world of minting. And then there are broad strike errors where the retaining collar fails to keep the coin in place during striking, allowing the metal to expand beyond its normal boundaries, creating an odd and oversized look that draws collector fascination, along with clip planchets where a portion of the blank is missing before striking, leaving a crescent-shaped gap that becomes frozen in history on the coin itself. Every one of these errors contributes to the mystique of why certain 2003 pennies are believed to be worth millions, but what sets the $4.25 million figure apart is the possibility that one particular specimen combined multiple errors in a single strike, perhaps a double die obverse on a wrong planchet with an off-center strike, a convergence of mistakes so improbable that its very existence makes it priceless to the right collector, because the truth is the world of high-end numismatics is not just about the metal or the face value but about uniqueness, about owning something no one else in the world has, and when wealthy collectors compete at auction to secure such rarities, prices can skyrocket into the millions, with bidding wars fueled by passion, pride, and the thrill of possession, and the 2003 penny story captures all of this perfectly. But let's also remember that these values don't just come from thin air, they are built on a foundation of supply and demand, on history and mystery, on the allure of imperfection in a world that usually demands perfection, and on the narratives that grow around these coins as they pass from one hand to another, whispered about in collector circles, showcased in auction catalogs, and sometimes making headlines in mainstream news, adding to the mystique and pushing values even higher. And for anyone holding on to change from 2003, the possibility that a humble penny might conceal a hidden fortune adds an irresistible element of treasure hunting to everyday life, making people check their pocket change more carefully, examine the date and the mint mark, tilt the coin under the light to search for doubling, or measure its weight to see if it might be struck on the wrong planchet. And this endless cycle of curiosity, discovery, and hope is what keeps the world of coin collecting alive, because behind every coin is a story, and behind every error is a potential jackpot, and when that jackpot is tied to something as common and unassuming as a 2003 penny, it only amplifies the drama, for what could be more exciting than a coin most people overlook suddenly being elevated into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasures? So as we look back on the story of the 2003 cent worth $4.25 million, we see not just a coin but a symbol of how mistakes can create miracles, How errors can become opportunities, and how tiny details can lead to extraordinary value, a reminder that history, art, technology, and human imperfection all converge in numismatics to produce wonders that astonish us, and this is why collectors and enthusiasts keep searching, keep studying, and keep dreaming, because who knows, the next great discovery might be sitting unnoticed in a coin jar, a piggy bank, or a forgotten drawer, waiting for someone curious enough to look closely. And with that, we invite you to continue exploring with us, to dive deeper into the fascinating world of rare coins, and to never underestimate the potential hiding in plain sight, because treasures like the 2003 penny worth millions prove that history is alive in our pockets. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey, and if you enjoyed learning about the mysteries and possibilities behind this extraordinary coin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories about hidden treasures, and stay tuned for the next adventure into the captivating world of numismatic wonders. Next, 2018 D1 cent coin. Today we are diving deep into the story of the 2018 D1 cent coin, a coin most people would glance at without a second thought, yet one that in certain rare conditions has been valued at a staggering $2.91 million, not because it is made of precious metals or designed with extravagant detail, but because of its errors, mistakes, and striking anomalies that turn it into a collector's dream and an artifact of minting history. And as we explore the reasons behind its immense worth, we'll discover how something so small can embody the complexity of human craftsmanship, the unpredictability of technology, and the passion of collectors who scour through rolls of pennies in search of that one special piece that could change everything. So let's open the door to this story with a simple question. How could a coin worth just 1 cent end up being valued at nearly $3 million? And to answer that, we must step back and look at the United States Mint in 2018, a year in which billions of coins were struck at different mints across the country, including the Denver Mint, where the 2018 D1 cent coin was born. Each coin struck quickly and efficiently in massive quantities using automated presses that churned out pennies by the second, and yet within this enormous operation tiny mistakes sometimes crept in, mistakes so rare that they became more valuable than the flawless coins themselves, because collectors prize the unusual and the unexpected. And when a coin like the 2018 D penny carries a minting error, it becomes not just currency but history frozen in metal, a piece that whispers the story of the moment the machinery faltered or a die shifted or a planchet was misfed, and in that whisper lies the difference between a cent and millions of dollars. Now, one of the most discussed errors for the 2018 D penny is the doubled die. An error caused when a die used to strike the coin has been impressed with the design more than once but slightly misaligned, leading to visible doubling on areas like the date, the lettering Liberty, or the motto, In God We Trust, and these doubled dies can vary in intensity from slight blurs to dramatic, easily visible outlines that make the coin look almost ghostly, and collectors adore them because they are both visually striking and undeniably the result of the minting process itself rather than damage after circulation. And a dramatic doubled die on a 2018 D penny, especially if discovered early in pristine mint state condition, could easily escalate its value into the millions. Another category of mistake that elevates the 2018 D penny is the off-center strike, when the blank planchet meant to be struck by the dies is not properly centered in the press, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or shifted toward the edge, and depending on how far off-center the strike is, the rarity increases, with the most valuable examples being those with dramatic misalignments while still showing a full date and mint mark, because a coin without a readable date cannot always be authenticated as the valuable 2018 D variety, making those that preserve all the key details while still showing the error especially desirable. Then there are broad strike errors where the coin is struck outside of its normal retaining collar, allowing the metal to spread outwards, creating a penny that looks stretched and distorted, yet still perfectly authentic, and these mistakes too carry significant premiums because they demonstrate the fallibility of even the most controlled processes. Another fascinating mistake linked to the 2018 D penny is the die crack or die break, where the die used to strike the coins develops a crack from stress and overuse, and that crack transfers onto every coin it strikes, leaving raised lines or bumps on the coin's surface, sometimes forming what collectors call cuds when a piece of the die breaks off completely, leaving a missing section in the design that fills in with blank metal. And these cuds can be extremely dramatic, making the coin appear as though it carries scars from its very creation, which in turn excites collectors who see them as both art and accident. Then of course we must talk about wrong planchet errors, the holy grail of modern pennies, where a coin is accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin, and if a 2018 D penny were discovered struck on the Smaller copper-nickel dime planchet, it would instantly be one of the rarest known errors, and its uniqueness would fuel competitive bidding at auctions, pushing its price into the multi-million-dollar range, and it is precisely this type of once-in-a-lifetime mistake that fuels the rumor and belief that certain 2018 D pennies could indeed be valued as high as $2.91 million, because in the world of coin collecting, rarity, condition, and demand create a perfect storm of value, and when a coin combines all three in dramatic fashion, the sky's the limit. Now, to understand why such errors hold so much power, we need to consider the psychology of collecting itself, because collectors are not simply buying a coin, they are buying a story, a piece of history, a connection to something larger than themselves. And when they hold a 2018 D penny with a dramatic double die or a spectacular off-center strike, they are holding evidence of a unique moment when the mint's precision faltered. Evidence that can never be exactly recreated, and that makes the coin irreplaceable. And beyond errors, there are the possibilities of condition and grading, because in numismatics condition is king, and a 2018 D penny found in circulation with an error may carry value, but one discovered in mint state, fresh from an unopened roll, with flawless surfaces and sharp details, could be worth exponentially more, as grading services like PCGS or NGC assign it a high grade such as MS 67 or even MS 68. And those grades in combination with a dramatic error can transform a coin from a curiosity into a headline-making treasure, and this explains why so many people comb through rolls of modern pennies purchased from banks, searching with magnifying glasses for doubling, cracks, or odd shapes, because they know the stories of coins like this, stories where one lucky discovery turns into hundreds of thousands or even millions at auction. And when rumors circulate of a 2018 D penny selling for $2.91 million, it only fuels the fire, encouraging more people to look closely at the change in their pockets, hoping to stumble upon a miracle. And history has shown time and again that such miracles do happen, with coins like the 1955 double die penny, the 1969 S double die penny, and the 2004 Wisconsin state quarter with extra leaves on the corn stalk, all skyrocketing in value due to their minting anomalies. So when we apply that history to the 2018 D penny, it becomes easy to see why people believe it could follow the same path, especially when errors unique to modern minting technology are considered, such as die polishing lines, misaligned dies, and even coins struck through foreign objects like pieces of wire or cloth that accidentally fall onto the planchet before the strike, leaving a ghostly impression forever embedded in the coin's surface. And these striking through errors are some of the most visually fascinating, because no two are alike, and when they appear on a coin as modern and common as a 2018 D penny, they instantly set it apart from the billions of ordinary examples, transforming it into a true one-of-a-kind piece. And one-of-a-kind pieces are the cornerstone of million-dollar values in numismatics. Now, as we imagine the auction floor where such a 2018 D penny might appear, the energy is palpable, with seasoned collectors, investors, and institutions all vying for the chance to own this symbol of rarity, the bids climbing higher and higher until the hammer falls at $2.91 million, setting a record and confirming that even the humblest denomination can reach heights beyond imagination. And this story serves as both inspiration and lesson. Inspiration because it shows that treasures still hide in plain sight, and lesson because it reminds us that value is not always about the material but about the story, the rarity, and the human desire to possess something unique. So when you next hold a 2018 D penny in your hand, do not dismiss it as ordinary without a closer look, because among the billions struck there could still be a hidden masterpiece, a coin that carries the scars of error or the beauty of imperfection, and that coin could be your ticket into the world of extraordinary wealth. And as we wrap up this exploration of the 2018 D 1-cent coin and its rumored $2.91 million value, remember that the world of coin collecting is one of endless discovery, where patience and attention to detail are rewarded, where history meets art, and where even a cent can rewrite destiny. So stay curious, keep searching, and who knows, the next great treasure could be waiting in your very own pocket change. And with that, thank you for joining us on this journey. And if you enjoyed diving into the hidden world of rare coins and want to continue discovering stories of small pieces with big value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another incredible story, because together we'll keep unlocking the secrets of money, history, and the unexpected fortunes that lie just beneath the surface of everyday life. Now we are going to unravel the mystery, intrigue, An incredible story behind the 1986 1-cent coin that has become a subject of amazement among collectors and investors alike because of its extraordinary value, with some examples rumored to be worth as much as $16 million due to their striking errors, unusual mistakes, and the unique possibilities that make them more than just simple copper-plated zinc coins from a year many consider ordinary in American numismatic history, yet hidden within the millions of coins minted that year are remarkable anomalies that have captured imaginations and wallets across the globe. So let's explore exactly how something as small and common as a penny could reach such astronomical levels of value and why errors and mistakes elevate its worth to such a legendary status. Starting with the context of 1986 itself, when the United States Mint was fully entrenched in the production of copper-plated zinc cents following the 1982 transition away from mostly copper coins, which meant that while production numbers were huge, quality control was sometimes challenged due to rapid production runs, resulting in the possibility of off-center strikes, doubled dies, misaligned dies, die cracks, planchet errors, and a host of other mistakes that were often overlooked at the time but today stand as hallmarks of rarity. And it is precisely these flaws that make a 1986 1-cent not just a tiny piece of currency but rather a treasure that can be valued in the millions depending on the severity and uniqueness of its error. For example, some 1986 cents are known to feature dramatic double-die obverse errors where Lincoln's profile, inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," and the date 1986 appear with a noticeable doubling effect that can be seen with the naked eye, making them stand out as dramatic minting mistakes that collectors dream about, while others exhibit off-center strikes where part of the design is cut off entirely, leaving a crescent of blank planchet showing. And the more dramatic the off-center strike, especially with the visible date, the higher the value, with extreme examples pushing valuations into the hundreds of thousands or even millions depending on condition and demand. But the most legendary examples that push into the multi-million-dollar range often combine multiple errors, such as a double die with an off-center strike on a transitional or wrong planchet, for instance a 1986 cent struck on a dime planchet, which results in a coin that is thinner, smaller, and made of a different metal composition, creating an incredible rarity that defies expectations. And when you combine that with something like a bold die crack running across Lincoln's portrait or lettering, the coin becomes a one-of-a-kind showpiece worthy of staggering auction prices. And the possibilities go even further because 1986 cents can also feature clipped planchets where a chunk of metal is missing from the edge, broad strikes where the coin spreads out abnormally without a rim, or even dramatic lamination errors where the surface of the coin peels or flakes off due to impurities in the metal, each of these mistakes adding a level of intrigue and uniqueness that drives collectors into bidding wars. And when you consider how rare it is to find such errors preserved in pristine condition, perhaps tucked away in a roll of coins for decades before being discovered, the idea of a 1986 cent commanding values of $16 million no longer seems like fantasy but rather the result of a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand, because in the numismatic world it is not always the age of the coin that determines its value but the combination of story, uniqueness, and condition, and the 1986 cent embodies that truth perfectly. Imagine a coin struck during a time when most people dismissed pennies as insignificant change, yet due to one rare mistake becomes a globally recognized artifact of history commanding a price tag greater than luxury mansions or supercars. And that is the kind of story that captures hearts and minds, fueling the legend of the 1986 cent worth $16 million. And to understand why collectors value these mistakes so much, we have to remember that coin errors are physical evidence of the human and mechanical side of minting. Each error a frozen moment in time where machinery misaligned or human oversight allowed a planchet slip through, making each error coin a historical document as much as a currency piece. And collectors cherish them because they know they are acquiring something literally unique that no one else in the world owns, which is why rare 1986 cents continue to fetch extraordinary premiums. And when we think about the kinds of errors that could exist, we open an entire universe of possibilities, such as a 1986 double denomination error where a cent was struck over a dime, producing a wild hybrid coin showing design remnants of both denominations, or a mule error where the obverse of a 1986 cent was accidentally paired with the reverse of another denomination, something so rare it sends shockwaves through auctions. And these imaginative scenarios are not just hypothetical but based on known minting mistakes from other years, which means the possibility of a 1986 example exists and if discovered could instantly be valued in the multi-million-dollar range, perhaps even beyond the legendary 16 million mark if the coin is dramatic enough. And this possibility keeps treasure hunters scouring through old rolls of pennies, inherited jars of change, and forgotten bank boxes, all hoping to stumble upon that once-in-a-lifetime find. and stories of people finding rare cents in everyday circulation add fuel to this hunt, because the dream of turning a 1-cent piece into millions of dollars is the ultimate numismatic fantasy, and the 1986 cent represents the pinnacle of that dream, with every detail from die varieties, metal composition errors, mint marks, strike quality, and preservation playing into the valuation. For instance, a 1986 cent with a bold double die obverse in perfect mint state condition graded by a top agency like PCGS or NGC could easily fetch prices in the millions simply because of demand and scarcity, while one with a mistrike on a foreign planchet could create international buzz and drive the price even higher, and as more collectors enter the market driven by headlines of coins selling for staggering amounts, the competition for such rarities only intensifies, creating the perfect environment for coins like the 1986 cent to become legends. And while most 1986 cents are common and worth only face value, it is the tiny fraction of error coins that elevate the entire year into numismatic fame, proving that sometimes the smallest details can have the biggest impact. And the enduring appeal lies not only in the money but in the story, because owning a 1986 cent with a dramatic error is like holding a piece of minting history, a once accidental but now celebrated mistake that has transformed an everyday object into a multi-million-dollar treasure, and that is why collectors, historians, and investors alike are fascinated by it, because it challenges our understanding of value, reminding us that rarity, uniqueness, and narrative can elevate even the humblest penny into a global treasure. So whether it is double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, transitional errors, or unimaginable combinations of all these, the 1986 1-cent remains a captivating chapter in coin collecting history, and its story of being valued as high as $16 million is not just about the number but about the magic of discovery, the thrill of rarity, and the human fascination with mistakes that become masterpieces. And as long as people dream of turning small change into life-changing wealth, the legend of the 1986 cent will continue to inspire treasure hunts, fuel auctions, and remind us all that sometimes the greatest treasures hide in plain sight in the palm of your hand. And if you enjoyed this incredible journey through history, rarity, and the world of valuable coins, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss more amazing stories of small change worth fortunes.